Hello, welcome to Pisces full moon meditation. I'm so happy to see you, so many present live here, and looking forward to meeting you also via replay as well. I'm, I must admit that this Pisces, the archetype of Pisces seems the most mysterious to me, or the most elusive to me, because of what it represents, or what the goal or the climax of this archetype is, and that is to become a world savior. And that means that when we incarnate as a soul on earth, as a human being, we become captive by matter, and we are captivated by matter, and we are maybe finding this form, this body, or the bodies that we've been journeying with and through, and with and as the bodies over the lifetimes, that it may be a bit too small or uncomfortable, or whatever that may be, but that not only the physical body, but also the emotional and mental bodies that we carry, and the energetic bodies that we carry, are part of the matter that we have. They are the sheaths of our earth, and as such, we are also part of the earth, as one sheath of this whole planet. And this journey goes on, and in that journey, when we incarnate, we forget where we come from. We forget the connection to the spirit. I, for one, have explored this abandonment wound that goes much deeper than the abandonment wound that I've experienced with my biological parents. It's so deep that it's existential, and to understand that it's part of the process, that we actually have to go through that, each and every one of us, and embrace, go into matter, and go forth into matter, but not as the ultimate goal, but rather to go through the journeys, being captivated in the form of matter, only to lift and raise whatever matter we are carrying to higher consciousness. And in that process, it's like a yo-yo. We come down and we go up, and we come down and we go up. And we experience that many times, because it is a process. So it's not necessarily, maybe, I don't know if there is one person or any people out there who have just gone through the process just like that. Maybe that is that radical awakening, what it is called, but that when we go through that process, indeed it is in steps, and in that process of taking steps, we also individuate, not only as a personality integration, forming a solid enough foundation for our soul to land, but also as a soul, as a consciousness. We individuate as a soul when we separate from the Father, as the cosmic spirit is called in the teachings, and we embrace the Mother, which is matter. And then when we have individuated enough as a personality, the personality is lifted up to the soul, and it is being captivated by the soul for some time until this bondage, dual bondage, is released by the ultimate death, which is the release of life force energy at the core. And this is where it becomes tricky for me, or to me personally, is because I'm not there yet. I think Bruce is one of those people who is there, and I'm not speaking from experience, so I'm just speaking things that where we're headed and what is my experience so far. In this process, in my experience, it's like when the personality and soul are being captive, like the two fishes are bound together like this. It's like this constant grinding that we go through until they are fused, until they can really fuse and merge and be one, so that the life at the center can be released. And so the third keynote, I already mentioned bondage and captivity, and leaving the father's home, and also embracing mother, and then leaving mother as well, because we're raising the personality to be captivated by the soul. That's the second keynote, the renunciation or detachment. It's not so that we abandon them, but abandon matter or abandon personality, but rather we detach from it. The third keynote is sacrifice and death. And what it is about is that Pisces energy, or the archetype, brings in or brings about the death of the form in the occult significance. So it's not necessarily the death of the physical form as such. It can be if it's part of the plan for any particular individual, but what it is referred to as in the teachings is the occult significance and the death of those parts of our matter, of our physical patterns, physical ailments, emotional patterns, mental belief systems, or complexes, or whatever we carry, that those can be lifted into higher realms, levels, and states, so that we can serve as world saviors. And this saving energy, I'm a bit allergic to it myself, because I have spent years in my life to unlearn the personality pattern of saving somebody, and by that I refer to the Stephen Cartman's drama triangle personality games that keep us in the loop, that keep us away from true intimacy and authentic intimacy and closeness, and relating on the personality level. And it also keeps us, that drama triangle keeps us away from our authentic self, which is part of the soul, but it's not the soul. And so when we have integrated and know to avoid those games, then we are rooted in our authentic self. And this is already quite a lot, but because of this process, it's something that I have learned to avoid, to save. And so whenever I hear the word savior or save, I'm like, no, please don't bring it here. Because those games have caused so much suffering, and they still cause suffering out in the world, in the humanity at large. And I still sometimes play those games too. And so to be open to what it actually means to save. And in this context, it is the second ray energy, the second aspect of divinity, the love wisdom, second ray, the love wisdom energy that is meant here by saving. And it is will to save. So it's not will to love anymore, but will to save. And this is something that I want to explore over the next month, or month or so, that we still have our Piscean season on, that what does it mean? What in each of our individual and collective experience, will to save, what does it mean? And how the sacrifice and death come along also is through the planet Pluto. That's the planet that brings in the energy of the first ray, which is will or power, and the destruction, the destruction energy. And the second ray energy comes down to the personality level through Jupiter. And so today we have the sun in Pisces and the moon in Virgo, which are the polar opposites. And if we remember that Virgo is the three-faceted goddess, Virgo is the womb where the Christ consciousness, Christ energy was gestated. And Pisces is this sign, or the archetype, or the time when this Christ consciousness is consummated. And so when this consummation takes place, the personality and the soul fuse. There is a list of things, very concrete things, given in the text of Alice Bailey, how the process of, or what the process of the personality and the soul will do over this zodiac sign. So what happens is transmutation. And firstly, the lower nature will transmute into the higher manifestation. And so, like I said, or already mentioned, that whatever things are happening in our matter, they will be lifted up, they will be transmuted. And so this means that in everyday life, that maybe something comes up, maybe some old things that you have not processed yet comes to surface, or something that you have not even been aware of. You are facing that in your daily life, and it's not there to torment you or to piss you off or anything like that, just out of spite of it, but because it's here to be transmuted. to be faced, to be embraced, and to be transmuted so that it can be integrated and lifted up as a higher form of that, or to pick up the jewel or the gold behind that. And the second thing that will happen in this process is that the lower physical powers will be transmuted into the higher spiritual faculties. And there's a list of 9 things that will happen. And the first is that personality negativity will transmute into positive soul control. So what the qualities on the personality level, or the undeveloped man that journeys on earth or on this path in Pisces, the very typical elements are negativity, emotionality, but also mediumship and the ability to clairvoyance or clairaudience. But there's also this, when it's undeveloped, there's this tendency to victim mentality and selfishness, self-preservation, self-pity, or even spiritual and mental inhibition. And so all these things will eventually, step by step, if not in this lifetime, then it will follow in the lives to come. And so negativity will turn into positive soul control. Mediumship will turn into mediatorship. So mediatorship, as I understand it, has to do with our soul being a bridge between spirit and matter. And clairvoyance turns into spiritual perception. So instead of uncontrollably, or even having a skill for clairvoyance to serve personalities means, perhaps, it develops, it matures into a perception that allows us to see the bigger picture of the God's plan. And clairaudience will transmute into mental telepathy and finally inspiration. As you can see, there's this maturing process that keeps repeating. And again, instinct will turn into intellect. So instead of following our animal instincts as such, of course we need to, I believe that we need to honor and listen to our instincts, and they are as sacred as the soul. It's just that it's not so low vibration, it's higher vibration, and that's why it will turn in, it's called intellect. Selfishness will turn into divine selflessness. And that means, I believe that it has 2 meanings. Selfishness meaning that, or selfishness meaning that we are self-centered. We are the center of our own universe instead of being conscious as it is meant to be in Aquarian era. But here, when it is turned into divine selflessness, we also lose our separate self. So we become selfless. And as we become world servers and world saviors, we are not at the center of everything, but we are serving the greater whole. And saving the greater whole. acquisitiveness turns into renunciation. So when we are on our path and we seek answers, we seek the truth, we seek freedom, you realize that there comes a point when instead of going into and deeper and digging into things, there comes time to just let go, renounce it, detach from it. Three things in the triangle. Sandy, would you please repeat the question? What do you refer to? I missed you at the point and I forget what I said. So please help me. Oh, the drama triangle. Yes, the three things. Yes, perfect. So the drama triangle is savior or rescuer. It's called also rescuer. And then there's a persecutor, and then there's a victim. Usually it is depicted as a triangle where the victim is on the bottom, savior on each on one of the sides, and the persecutor on the or the rescuer on the one side and the persecutor on the other. And it is a triangle where the victim is being someone who is not taking responsibility for their own needs, someone who actually plays power under games a lot. So it is a very powerful position to be in, but it's power under. And it is alluring and inviting in the rescuer that comes in to help, to support, and usually without being asked. The rescuer is someone who helps not because somebody else asked necessarily, but because there's a deep, deep, unconscious sense of unworthiness. So there's a tendency to earn one's worth by helping, doing things for others. And the persecutor is someone who is the judge, who blames others, does not take responsibility for their own things, particularly their own boundaries or their anger, their suppressed anger. And then it lashes out. It's you, it's your fault. This is because of you. And why don't you? This kind of pattern. And one person can play that game by themselves as well in their head within 1 minute. For me, I'm such a loser. I don't know how to do this, and I'm alone in this world, and blah blah blah. And then this rescuer comes in my head, saying that it's okay. I need to go and help others to feel better, and then I do that, and then I blame myself and blame the others for things that I actually chose to do myself. So that's a game that I can play it totally by myself. You don't need anybody else to do that for you, but it's usually something that happens in relating quite a lot, especially if there's the personality is not developed. I hope this answers. Thank you for the question. It's quite significant because that is one of the greatest tools that I learned first from Taki, and then later it's a transactional analysis based theory and tool to see where the woundings, personality woundings are, and how to get out of there. So the how to get out is that the victim can ask, what can I do to help myself, and can I commit to that, to do my part, to speak out the needs and the wants, the boundaries that exist, is necessary for this to be cleaned. And the rescuer, because the attitude is basically that I know better, so I need to help others because they don't know how to do things for themselves. I need to go and help. So to develop trust in others, capacity to think for themselves, to choose for themselves. And the persecutor can ask themselves that, what is it that I'm not taking responsibility for? What boundaries have been crossed, or what am I not owning in myself, or what am I not communicating about myself? What is the vulnerability there? Oh, this is a topic. If you are on my email list, I will actually, I have a plan that I will send some material about this later. Although I had planned to do it in Finnish, but I will do some material also in English if that is something that is of interest. Awesome. Okay, back to the Pisces. So captivity, renunciation, and sacrifice and death. So the sacrifice is that we come down into matter as souls, and we, what the teachings say, we redeem matter. And as we reach the higher states of consciousness, then this is the process, or the symbol this is the process to symbolize the world's savior. And today my plan is, or my calling is, to explore, to activate the core, both at the core of the personality and at the core, or the dark, the one life at the core of the personality, and at the core of the soul, and see how the sutratma, the life force, or the life thread between those two, what is that? I'm very curious about that, and how they can help fuse to bring that second ray, love, wisdom, will to save energy into action and into our lives. Amazing. So we go on our guided journey, and if you want to change your position or your posture, please do so now or later, but whenever, at any given time in the journey together. And let's start with the personality and with matter. And see if your body needs anything right now, if it needs to pee, or if it needs to drink, or if it needs to stretch, or if it needs something else. And see if you can meet that need so that it can rest here today in this journey. And okay. See how your breathing is today. You don't need to change your breathing, but just notice. Notice your breathing. As you bring your attention and your awareness to your breathing, how does that affect your experience? For example, for myself, when I bring my awareness to my breathing, I instantly sort of want to make more space for my breathing. So I have this tendency to lift myself or rather to erect the spine straight. But that could be something else for yourself. So when you bring your awareness to your breathing, how does that affect your experience? And it can change moment to moment. And begin sensing your personality. And by personality, I mean the physical form, the physical body, the emotions, and the mind, the thoughts. And become aware what is most pressingly calling for your attention, which layer, which sheath of your earth is calling for your attention at the moment. Or is it the energetic bodies or the etheric bodies? Is it the chakras? Or because it can be also more subtle than the physical or the emotional or mental bodies. And as you sense those layers, and the one that is most calling for your attention, then also notice the atmosphere or the ambiance that is present in your experience with these layers. Allow yourself to sense the physical sensations given by each of those bodies, even though they may not, even though mental body may not have or it's not the same as physical body, but it has its expression through physical body, same as the emotional body expresses itself through the physical body. And so at any point, if you feel like an impulse wanting to move your body in any way, allow that, because that is a way to move the energy that may be a bit stagnant in your system. And that in turn, when the energy moves, may reveal more information, more awareness, more layers, peel more layers. As you sense one of those layers, or all of these layers, just choose the one that is most active at the moment. And in that layer, whether that be mental, physical, emotional, or the etheric bodies, what are the most active stories that you tell yourself that this is who I am? Become aware of the stories that you tell yourself, that the stories that you identify with, that you tell yourself and the others and the world that yes, this is me, this is who I am. Name those stories out loud for yourself. And allow yourself to feel those, express those, sound. You can use also your touch. However, so not, the words are really important because they vibrate the sound and they help activate that experience in your entire body of the sheaths. But that it's not the only thing. You also have your physical movement, you have your breathing, you have your sound, you have your touch. And so allow the whole spectrum of that physical matter to express itself. And as you express these uh, stories, if you have anything next to you, you don't have to, this just came to me right now, so there was no way you could prepare for this, so no stress about this. But if you have anything, a cloth of fabric or a pillowcase or some kind of a blanket or a shawl or sarong, whatever there present, you can put that on top of your head so that you cover your face, your shoulders. And if you don't, you can just visualize that fabric on yourself. And see how the weight of your stories, this fabric is the weight of your stories, but how it feels, how it is affecting your vision in this world, how it is affecting your relationship to yourself, to other people, and to the world at large. And as you have that fabric either physically or imaginatively on you, allow yourself to feel and express again with your physical movement, breathing, sound, touch, this curtain of illusion, because that's what it is. And in this exploration, who is underneath there? Who is it that is underneath that fabric, that illusion? You can name that for yourself. Let that be expressed. And if it supports you, and if you feel comfortable to start revealing that fabric, revealing that whoever is underneath those stories, those illusions, by stripping away that fabric at the speed or the tempo as is comfortable for you. And if it feels like it's not ready to die yet, then you can leave it on. and see what reveals itself. And after that layer is stripped off, and something is revealed underneath. Go even deeper. Now that this one who is revealed, because there's still this separate I, that let the gaze of the life turn inwards towards its creation. Whether that center or going within is through the whole of what was revealed, or through your crown or your heart or your base, if it supports you to continue this journey together, you can choose what that is for you. And pierce through as you pierce through this separate eyes, piercing through and this, or being pierced through. What is there after you have turned your awareness inwards towards your core, and this separate eye is being pierced? What is it that starts to flow and flood through? And let yourself, the separate self, let it be dissolved into that which is revealed. Sense if you can feel the life thread, sutratma, in your experience in any way. We've had it in the previous meditations in the heart, but this time stay open and see if you can sense life thread that some part of you can just start to follow, to grasp on it and to follow it like a lifeline. You can pull yourself in the dark. You can pull that sutratma and bring yourself forward. And after a while following that life thread, you can put on that piece of fabric on you again. As this one life emerging in matter, now at the core of matter, living as the one life. How can this, or how will this one life transfigure and transmute whatever you have on? You don't need to know it mentally necessarily, even though the message can come through consciousness. That's totally fine. Allow it, allow the answer to be revealed, and let yourself express it. So feel, sense physically what's happening, what information comes to you, and through which sensed doors. As this one life, as you are at the core of matter, of the stories that you held at the beginning, how does this one life transfigure, transform whatever you are now carrying? Let yourself sense, express what sort of death needs to take place for that matter to be brought to higher states of consciousness. There is no soul. There is no time. There is no space. There is only life. One life. This life I am. My will is for all my lesser selves to know me at their core as the essence, the beginning and end of their existence. It is thus as the one life I live. As you allow that life force energy and that love, will to save, to penetrate the core of all the beings that make up your earth. Sense the life and death nature of the energy, and sense the purification that takes place. And as the matter is redeemed and lifted to higher states of consciousness, sense the organization through resonance that naturally occurs as the cells of the different bodies express their core note and find their way into the organs and chakras, the different structures and dimensions of your subtle bodies, as well as the physical. Again, sense the sutratma. And let it lead you to sense both ends of the polarity of your soul and personality. Because you are that sutratma, you are that one life. As that one life. We finish with the Piscean mantra. Soul calls via rising sign. The sun must be eaten. Sacrifice all. The sun must be eaten. Sacrifice all. And the pledged disciple responds, I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. I leave the Father's home, and turning back I save. harvest whatever you can from this meditation, and trust that this was merely the beginning of our Piscean season this year. More will be revealed in your daily life. All we just need to look is, or all we need to do is look and be awake to see what life serves us. And if there is anything that your body needs at this point to stretch or to drink or to shout, even, let that be the case. If there is anything that you would like to share or to be witnessed in, there's some time still. We can come together on the screen or in our shared space.
Like to share something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, there were many like clear moments of, revealing things. One thing was when I had the sheet over my head and on my shoulders, I experienced actually the pleasure of, because I felt in the personality there's so much contradicting stories. There's so much polarity in the stories that I tell myself or that I playing out, and I can either choose this one or that one or that one or that one. But then I felt as underneath the sheath, as a soul, I felt the pleasure. Actually, I want to experience it all. That's my that's why I'm here, actually. And maybe in this lifetime I experienced this set of polarities, and in another lifetime another set of polarities. But what was interesting was just the pleasure of actually experience, instead of the going from that part to that part, which is the personality that kind of wants to stand somewhere. and and the other part was what, yeah, really touched me was kind of this feeling that I always had, and of being kicked out of heaven. And a lot of people have that, it's like that sense of, yeah, just kicked out of heaven. And then also at the same time feeling that you don't want to be absorbed in matter, that there's a kind of a fear of drowning into the matter part. So then living in between, in that in between world of not, like of, yeah, stressfulness of not being part. And over the last years a lot have been revealed in that sense, but today I felt a deeper level of that, like, oh yeah, it's all choice, it's really me who is choosing this life, and I'm not kicked out of heaven. This is just, yeah, the the way the marriage of matter and spirit is working, and it's getting more beautiful every every time I get in touch with it. So thank you so much. That was absolutely beautiful again.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds beautiful and powerful. Yeah, I think I want to share something also, is that it's that for some reason today, maybe it's just because we started the meditation basically on the dots when the full moon was on, and I sank into the meditative state also more deeply for my personal journey, which has very rarely happened before. And I usually stay in this transpersonal state where I deal with my personal things later and do my personal journey later, based on the replay. And but today it seems that I could sense how it's the figure of, or the symbol of infinity, like the fishes. I could experience that in my field today, that when I sink in through my mental body, which is today is the most active of the three, and I sink in and I reveal what is underneath. I can sense the throbbing life there, also in that layer, but what is coming between is the soul. So the soul is wanting to come there and not really wanting to allow the direct connection to the spirit, or from the spirit to the matter, to the personality layer. And I perceive it to be that because of the developmental stage that I am at, and that's perfectly fine. But it's just interesting that while I still sense that when I sink in through the personality, I can reach the spirit, and when I dive into the spirit, I rise up as the soul. So I plunge in from the personality and I rise up as the soul. So, and I go, so the spirit is actually in the middle. So that was my experience today. And meaning that the spirit, or the monadic energy, the one life, is at the center of both of them. And maybe this is a Finnish metaphor, or but now that I'm looking out and there's winter and there's this Nikkila temple lake there and it's all iced, the ice is on there, and I also like to go ice swimming, and I see the symbol or the metaphor that there's this layer of ice. There's two holes, and one of the holes is the personality, and the second is the soul. And it doesn't really matter which hole we use to dive in, we always reach the core, we always reach the ocean, we always reach the one life that just is there, pervading everything. And it's just a funny game that we can be like this hamster game that these hamsters come out and we just whack the mouse, or what is the game called? So brings in humor into this human experience. Yeah. That's me today. But I feel that this left more questions and more curiosity, more like openness. Okay, something just opened up, and let's see what that next month brings in. Is there anything else that anybody else would like to share?
I just want to share that I'm in a stage of uh, I feel that I don't have a skin at all. I'm newborn. And I really felt that because the start showed me that I've been hanging in two I don't know how to explain this, but now I have this feeling that I'm newborn and I don't have skin, and yeah, I'm feeling this cry and this sorrow, and I'm revealed in some way at the same time, and in very sensitive place. Yeah. Even though I was kicked out from this meditation in between. So I don't know what really was the facilitation of this meditation or guiding, but still I'm here now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for bringing in your vulnerability. Happy you got back. I saw you drop out. Mm. Mm. Anybody else want to share something? For those, I'm okay, actually, like, I'm gonna record it. There's a question. Can you share the name of the singer? So for those who catch the replay, I have the habit of playing a song before we start to help us attune to the energies that I sense that the song is representative of, or of the transmission that wants to come through. And today, the song was by actually two artists. It's Amber Lily and Joanna Macy. So Amber Lily and Joanna Macy. And the song was called Song of Life. Song of Life. And yeah, it's beautiful that you asked. But if anybody wants to listen to that first, or at the end of this meditation, whoever is here, then it's yours to listen. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today, and so many full moon blessings to everyone. And if you have your full moon offering with you, again, I invite you to give it to the land. Cultivate the relationship to the planet and give from your heart. Until next time.